Imagine a giant machine that represents a country's economy. This machine produces all sorts of things: cars, computers, haircuts, you name it. GDP is like a measuring stick for this machine. It tells us the total value of everything produced within a country's borders over a specific period, usually a year. GDP helps us understand how well the economy is doing. A rising GDP generally means the economy is growing, businesses are thriving, and people are spending money. Conversely, a shrinking GDP can signal a recession, with job losses and reduced economic activity. Understanding GDP is crucial for making informed decisions about economic policies and investments. It provides insights into the overall health and direction of the economy, helping policymakers and businesses make better choices. GDP doesn't count everything produced in an economy. It focuses on final goods and services. Think of a loaf of bread. The flour, yeast, and other ingredients are intermediate goods. They're part of the bread-making process but not counted directly in GDP. The final loaf of bread sold in a store is what GDP captures. GDP also considers only goods and services produced within a country's geographical boundaries, regardless of who produces them. For instance, if a foreign company manufactures cars within a country, those cars contribute to that country's GDP. Additionally, GDP is measured over a specific time frame, typically a quarter or 3 months or a year. This allows us to track changes in economic activity over time and identify trends. There are 3 main ways to calculate GDP, each providing a different perspective on economic activity. Understanding these methods is crucial for grasping how an economy functions and grows over time. 1. The expenditure approach. This method adds up all the spending on final goods and services within an economy. It's like looking at the economy from the perspective of consumers, businesses, and the government. It includes consumer spending, business investment, government spending, and net exports, which is exports minus imports. For instance, when you buy a new phone, that purchase is part of consumer spending. When a company invests in new machinery, that's business investment. 2. The income approach. Instead of looking at spending, this approach focuses on the income earned from producing goods and services. This method gives us insight into how much money is being made by different sectors of the economy. It sums up wages, salaries, profits, rents, and interest earned by individuals and businesses. For example, the salary you earn from your job, the rent a landlord collects, and the interest a bank earns on loans all contribute to GDP through the income approach. 3. The production approach. This method calculates GDP by adding up the value added at each stage of production. It's like tracing the journey of a product from raw material to finished good. For example, if a farmer grows wheat, a miller grinds it into flour, and a baker makes bread, the production approach adds up the value added at each step to arrive at the final value of the bread. This method helps us understand the contribution of different industries to the economy. These 3 approaches might seem different, but they should theoretically result in the same GDP figure because they ultimately measure the same economic activity from different angles. By using all 3 methods, economists can cross-verify the data to ensure accuracy and gain a comprehensive understanding of the economy's performance. When we talk about GDP, it's essential to distinguish between nominal GDP and real GDP. Nominal GDP measures economic output at current market prices without adjusting for inflation. Real GDP, on the other hand, accounts for inflation by using a base year's prices. Why is this distinction important? Imagine the price of everything doubled overnight due to inflation. Nominal GDP would also double, suggesting significant economic growth. However, in reality, the economy wouldn't have produced twice as many goods and services. Real GDP adjusts for this price change, providing a more accurate reflection of actual economic growth. Section 5. Beyond the numbers, what GDP doesn't tell us. While GDP is a valuable tool, it has limitations. It is often used as a primary indicator of a country's economic health, but it doesn't tell the whole story. It doesn't capture everything that contributes to a society's well-being. For example, the quality of life and happiness of the people are not reflected in GDP figures. For instance, GDP doesn't account for the informal economy, which includes activities like unpaid household work, bartering, and black market transactions. These activities are vital for many communities and contribute significantly to their daily lives. Furthermore, GDP doesn't consider the environmental impact of economic activity. The relentless pursuit of economic growth often leads to environmental degradation. A country might have a high GDP, but at the expense of environmental degradation, pollution, and depletion of natural resources. This kind of growth is not sustainable and can lead to long-term damage. This is unsustainable in the long run, and can have severe consequences for future generations. The health of our planet is crucial for the well-being of future generations. Moreover, GDP doesn't reflect income inequality or the distribution of wealth within a society. It fails to show how wealth is distributed among the population. A country might have a high GDP, but if the wealth is concentrated in the hands of a few, it doesn't necessarily translate to a high standard of living for the majority of the population. True prosperity should be measured by how well the benefits of economic growth are shared among all citizens. Section 6. GDP in Action. Real-world examples. To understand GDP's real-world impact, let's consider a few examples. Imagine a country experiencing a period of economic growth reflected in a rising GDP. This growth might lead to increased business investment, creating new jobs and boosting consumer spending. Conversely, a decline in GDP can signal an economic downturn. Businesses might cut back on investment, leading to job losses and reduced consumer spending, further slowing down the economy. GDP growth can also enable governments to invest in public goods and services such as education, healthcare, and infrastructure. These investments can improve the quality of life for citizens and contribute to long-term economic growth. Section 7. The limits of growth, GDP, and sustainability. As we've seen, GDP has its limitations. One crucial aspect it doesn't fully capture is sustainability. A country might achieve high GDP growth by exploiting its natural resources or polluting the environment. However, this approach is unsustainable in the long run and can have dire consequences for future generations. Therefore, it's essential to look beyond GDP and consider other measures of progress, such as environmental indicators, social well-being, and human development. These factors are crucial for ensuring sustainable and equitable growth that benefits both present and future generations. Section 8. Beyond GDP, measuring what matters. While GDP remains a valuable tool for understanding economic activity, it's crucial to recognize its limitations and consider alternative measures that provide a more holistic view of progress. GDP, or gross domestic product, primarily measures the market value of all final goods and services produced in a country during a specific period. However, it does not account for the distribution of income among residents of a country, nor does it consider whether the nation's rate of growth is sustainable in the long term. Several initiatives aim to move beyond GDP and measure what truly matters for societal well-being. These initiatives focus on various aspects of life that contribute to the overall quality of living, such as health, education, and environmental sustainability. By incorporating these factors, we can gain a more comprehensive understanding of how well a society is doing beyond just economic output. One such initiative is the Human Development Index, which considers factors like life expectancy, education, and income per capita. The HDI provides a broader perspective on development by including indicators that reflect the ability of individuals to lead long and healthy lives, to acquire knowledge, and to achieve a decent standard of living. The HDI recognizes that economic growth is only one aspect of development and that other factors contribute significantly to human well-being. For instance, a country might have a high GDP, but if its citizens have poor health or limited access to education, the overall quality of life may still be low. Therefore, the HDI helps to highlight areas that need improvement, guiding policymakers in their efforts to enhance human development. Other alternative measures include the Genuine Progress Indicator, which adjusts GDP for factors like income inequality, environmental damage, and crime. The GPI provides a more accurate reflection of the economic welfare of a nation by considering the social and environmental costs associated with economic activities. This way, it offers a more balanced view of progress, taking into account both the benefits and the drawbacks of economic growth. Similarly, the Happy Planet Index measures what matters for sustainable well-being, combining life expectancy, experienced well-being, and ecological footprint. The HPI emphasizes the importance of sustainable living and the impact of human activities on the planet. By focusing on these elements, the HPI encourages societies to pursue not just economic growth, but also environmental sustainability and personal well-being. By considering these alternative measures alongside GDP, policymakers and citizens can make more informed decisions that prioritize sustainable and equitable development, ensuring a better future for all. These measures provide a more nuanced understanding of progress, helping to create policies that foster not only economic prosperity but also social and environmental well-being. In doing so, we can work towards a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. Section 9. Keep learning. The journey to economic understanding. Understanding GDP is just the first step in exploring the complex world of economics. Economics is about how people make decisions in the face of scarcity, how those decisions interact, and how they shape the world around us. From microeconomics, which focuses on individual behavior and markets, to macroeconomics, which examines the economy as a whole, there's a vast and fascinating field to explore. By delving deeper into economic principles, we can gain a more nuanced understanding of the forces that shape our lives and the choices we make. Whether you're interested in business, policy, or simply want to make sense of the world around you, a solid grasp of economics is an invaluable asset. So keep learning, asking questions, and exploring the frontiers of economic thought. The journey is just beginning.